question about number 2, about turning away from your slide, letting go of the laser pointer, and staring at the audience.
Looking at the audience.
I feel like that's like asking a shy person, or people who have stage fright, which is most people, to like dive into a freezing cold pool, as opposed to like slowly walking in, and then when you get to your torso, you jump in, and then once you're a little warm, then you go all the way in. Do you recommend that people dive in, or is there an easier path where you like warm your legs before your torso?
So the question is, this looking into the eyes is going straight to the fear of most people, almost all people.
But I think it's also not looking at your slide. I think.
Will I know what's on my slide?
Right, because I think the way most people set up their slides is you write stuff on your slide also that helps you remember what you meant to say about the slide. And so the concept of turning away from my slide is extremely frightening.
So first of all, thank you for giving me more context, because I didn't understand your question the first time, and now I understand. And fear is not being connected to what you wrote on the slide in order to make sure that you know what to say. And it's not by chance that I didn't hear, because I didn't think about this. It wasn't in my world, and now that you told me, I learned something about teaching people how to give talks, because that's really a central concern. I can now understand it, I remember it, I connect to myself. So thank you for this question. See, I began to answer your question thinking I knew what your question is, but I didn't. So it gave me more context. Showing that the person who talks about how to give a talk still needs to work on how to give a talk. And that's because I'm human, and I'll work on it the rest of my life. I'll never be perfect, and all of my talks will always fail at some point, and some people will be dissatisfied. But now I'm going to try to answer your question. I'll tell you what I do in my lab. I warmly recommend jumping into the water. My belief is that scientists, like I think almost all of us, are able to take a peek at the computer screen, because they've prepared their talk, know what their premise is, it's written there, and know how to say a few sentences about it without having the notes. I believe that's in our capacity. And I think that the more looking into the slides and relying on what's written there, it creates kind of an addiction. Oh, I looked in the slide, the talk went okay. That's why, because I was looking into my slides. So I want to show my students that looking at the audience, it's not only the talk went okay, the talk was, I couldn't imagine what an experience it was. So pleasant and enjoyable. The more I was afraid before, the more I was amazed later. In my experience, it happens almost universally. There's some people who are very, very shy, and I think that's a special case that requires more focused attention. For most people, I recommend jumping into the water. And I want to say that in psychology, we know that there's attitudes like stage fright, and there's behavior like looking at the audience. And attitudes affect the behavior. Behaviors affect the attitude. If I'm a person who looks into the audience and survives the talk, I'm a person who looks into the eyes of the audience and survives the talk. Well, we can't change our attitudes. We can change our behavior. That's our little road to freedom. And that's why I say just start right away to change the behavior. Fear is a green light in giving talks. What you're most afraid of is the point for maximum growth. It's easy to say, it's hard to do. I want to share with you a little secret from theater. What actors do before they get on stage when they're stage fright? Stage fright. Some actors are so stage frightened, they throw up before every play. How do they make it on stage? What kind of profession is this? Here's the secret. You're about to go on stage or give the talk. You do the following routine. The first thing is, tense all your muscles and you think, I'm going to fail. Think of the most spectacular failure. The audience is going to walk out, throw the handouts at me. I'll be thrown in the streets, cold, hungry, and I'm going to die. And then loosen up and think of the most wonderful talk you can give. I'll be looking to the audience's eyes. They'll all be nodding and smiling, like you are now. It's a perfect picture. Take a deep breath. Give the talk. And you've not denied your fear. You connected with it. You saw what happens. You also imagine what will happen, really, most likely. Take a deep breath, which, by the way, connects you to what our psychological state called calm is deep breaths. Our psychological state called anxious is shallow breathing. So I'm changing my behavior, taking a deep breath. I'm going to the calm state. It's like a state machine. technology. That's the advice. My advice is to jump into looking into the audience's eyes. You said staring at the audience because you can also do this, and that's it's okay to say staring at the audience, but I mean looking into the audience's eyes, which is a form of communication. Let's take one last question, and I'll stay here if people want to ask more questions.
I follow up on what Walter said. So there's a sort of trade-off between maximizing what people understand and minimizing what they don't understand.
Maximizing what people understand
versus minimizing
what they don't understand.
I think in some talks, I feel like there's nothing you didn't understand, but partly because you don't give enough information that you can actually truly understand something. And I think that if you really want sort of information to flow in some sense, really get people understand something they didn't when they came into the room, you have to pay more attention to maximizing what they do understand rather than minimizing what they don't understand. But it also means that a lot of people get frustrated because that means that the talk is at a higher level or faster.
You're
seems like the hardest trade-off.
There's a trade-off between maximizing what people do understand and minimizing what they don't understand.
Yep.
If I translate it into my own words, I want to talk at two levels. Some people know more than others in the audience. That's a general situation. How can I make sure that I give enough information to both kinds of people? Is that in the context of your question?
Yeah, sort of. I think even if there was in a way, but I think even if for a homogeneous population, even if everyone knew the same thing, if you push them, and you know that the level you're giving the talk at, no one is going to understand everything. But if you gave it to a level where no one felt like I'm sort of insufficient, I can't really deal with it, they're not really learning as much as they could either. So I feel like it's not necessarily the background of the audience. It's more that direct trade-off that you can go from maximizing the new things to understand at the expense of that they feel confused about half of the things that you're talking about. And that makes a lot of people frustrated. I feel like they want to. I think a lot of people they come into this audience and they feel like I just want to be able to understand everything and have like a flowing narrative where I got everything.
So do you have an answer to this? Who's asking that?
No,
now I'm looking at the audience. I see. I don't understand the question so well, and it's not your fault.
So I think that what I usually do is I go to the first street.
I see the audience is some people don't understand the question also, I think. We're creating a little bit of a diet, so now I'm going to say, it sounds very interesting. Here's something here to learn, but we're going to discuss it after the lecture, if that's okay. Because I'm not able right now to answer the question without a prolonged discussion. I don't think it'll be opened up, because that's the way I feel right now. We can discuss it, and then maybe I'll learn something for my next talk. You seem to know something about that.
No, I really don't.
It's another example of how to take a question. I don't know. I'm inventing it right now from the principle of trying to keep your dignity. I hope I did that.
Maybe I didn't. I never agreed to be insulted.
I don't mean to insult you. It's just sharing with you how I feel when taking this question. But I think because it's taken a long time, and I'm going to stay here to answer more questions, but it's a formal part of the talk, so I want to thank you very much for giving me a lot of smiles and looking into my eyes. And I learned something that I'll incorporate into the next time I talk about this. And if you're preparing a talk, you wanted my advice, please come and find me. I'll be happy to look at your premises or whatever. And thank you.